And welcome to another benefit of the Dowd Review. I am your host, Adam Dowd, and joining me, as always, is the person who is primarily responsible for today's review, Clifton Thomas. Cliff, how you doing?
Doing well. I'm glad to hear you're doing better. I don't, or
Yeah,
maybe a little inside baseball, but you've had COVID, or you're recovering from COVID.
I did. I did go ahead and grabbed that COVID by the horns
Woohoo!
and wrestled it, and I came back on the other side. I will go ahead and send out a hearty endorsement for Paxlovid. This podcast not brought to you by Paxlovid, but it did help me. I think honestly, it helped me feel better. And so, like for me, when I get COVID, I never have a fever. I only ever get like a cold, like sniffles and a cold. And it's kind of weird. I'm like, got a new setup here. And so, okay, now you're in the right place. Anyway, it's like I have a cold. And so, I just get sniffles and I get like a lot of pressure in my face and stuff like that, but I've never had a fever. But all the same, I took Paxlovid on the recommendation of a few different people. And I don't think I've ever gotten over a cold that fast. So that's good. I mean, that's a good thing. So
That's right. Actually, COVID is on that same like family of viruses as the common cold. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. So
and so you just had to deal with bitter taste in your mouth for a few days.
yeah. So one of the side effects of Paxlovid is you get a really bitter taste in your mouth, and it's not fun. But it seemed to only happen like when I was thirsty. Like if I was staying hydrated, I was okay. It was like when I started to get that taste in my mouth, I'm like, oh, I should drink some water. Okay. So. But yeah, it was an experience. I lived in my basement for 10 days, and it was fine.
And now we're here.
And now we're here. In fact, there's a good chance that our last podcast with Michael Fisher I probably recorded that with the beginning stages of COVID. Anyway, and it's funny because I think by the time this airs, this will actually be a week old. But anyway, it's fine. Whatever. So we are here to talk about a device that Cliff sent to me. That said, I think you need to try this out. And I'm like, okay. So he sent it over to me, and it is, should we go ahead and bring on Skippy? I think let's go ahead and bring on Skippy. Trying to mute, but Skippy doesn't want to mute for some reason. Let me try it over here.
There we go.
Can you hear me okay? No? Okay, yeah. So that was the right one. So let's go ahead and introduce Skippy. And by the way, this is a new, the audition of a new kind of Skippy. So we're gonna try this out and see how it goes. Let us know in the comments. What do you think? But anyway, here is Skippy.
Ta-da!
And you'll notice maybe you won't notice, but you'll notice I have Skippy. Is that you? Anyway, so this is a new Skippy, and this is the Lenovo. Excuse me. This is the Lenovo Go wireless split keyboard, U.S. English. And this is a keyboard that Cliff. So this is not the first keyboard review that we've done on this podcast, and it's not the first keyboard that Cliff has sent me. And I think what happens is I think Cliff gets these ideas that he's like, Adam really needs to try this out because otherwise he just doesn't have a full enough experience when it comes to keyboards. But what Cliff doesn't realize is I already have. Anyway, so Cliff went ahead and sent this over to me. This is the Lenovo Go split wireless keyboard, and it is a more ergonomically friendly. Oh, you know what? I just realized that there's a piece of it that I don't know where it is. But anyway, this is an ergonomically friendly split keyboard that is supposed to allow you to rest your hands more naturally and type. And there's a couple of features here. I think. Yeah, this is it. Okay. It's a boomerang.
Crikey.
So this is a piece that goes with I think this is a piece that goes with this keyboard. Yeah, it goes like that. So anyway, yeah, I think it attaches to like the bottom here. Yeah, magnetically. So basically you can have this one of the natural parts about a keyboard like this is it like a normal keyboard will tilt towards you so that the keys are on different levels so that you can kind of move your hands up and down as you need to. Well, an ergonomic keyboard actually tilts the other way, so it actually kind of tilts away from you, because when you're looking at your hand, your hand tilts away from you as you're naturally typing. So doing this is doing this is actually a very unnatural movement.
Not very good for the tendons in your arms.
And not, what's the word of the day? Not ergonomic.
Correct.
So keyboards like this have a tendency to lean backwards, and then this piece here actually allows you to adjust the how much it leans backwards. So I'm actually going to power off the keyboard here so I don't start randomly typing somewhere. But if you flip this over, this actually attaches magnetically.
That's cool.
So that you can have it you can have it tilt even farther back if you want.
So potentially aids to the comfort and ergonomics of your typing.
Right. And I think it's probably going to depend on like where your chair is, how low your desk is, whether or not you're going to want that or that. So anyway, this is just one feature that comes along with it. There are no feet on the bottom here. You probably noticed. There's nothing, because like the other keyboard that I actually just had that I kind of tossed unceremoniously tossed away, that actually has feet at the front here where you can flip them up and you can get that same different level of adjustment. So I actually think this is probably an overall better implementation of that. It's not better because if you don't use it, you have like an extra piece that's flying around. I suppose you could whip at coworkers if you want, and they'll come back to you if you miss them. But I think this is actually a lot more stable than having two little feet that you flip up like so. But anyway,
what's the part on the bottom that looks like you can open it? Is that where the
this part here?
Yes.
This is a place for batteries, two AA batteries, and this is actually back here is like a storage area. Or no, actually, this is a storage area here, where you have a 2.4 megahertz, gigahertz, whatever.
Oh, gigahertz, gigahertz.
Yeah, gigahertz. 2.4 gigahertz module that you can plug into the computer that gives you that very super low latency connection. And one of the things that I actually like about this, normally I use like a Bluetooth keyboard. But one of the things I like about that wireless connectivity is I'm still using the Legion tower that we reviewed a couple of months ago, and one of the downsides that I mentioned about that tower is if it goes into sleep mode, you need to reach over and hit the power button on top of the thing. Well, since this is a 2.4 gigahertz wireless connection, I can actually just hit the space bar on this keyboard, and that will actually wake up the computer.
Right, because it's not going into as low a power mode because of that.
Right, exactly.
At least on this side, yeah.
So I like that.
And there's not that wait where it has to reconnect with Bluetooth, all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So this down here is Cork, which I don't know, kind of take it or leave it. I think it's okay. It's not any more or less comfortable than say the wrist guard that you would normally have with a normal keyboard. I actually have a wrist guard that I have for an MX Keys keyboard here. So this is a much more squishy. So it actually might be a little bit more. The Cork is actually surprisingly hard, which
really dense. Cork.
I don't know why I'm surprised by that, because it feels like any other Cork thing that I've had, and it's kind of nice because I can stick Post-its to it if I want with little push pins. I wouldn't do that. That would be terrible.
I believe the Cork actually, if I remember in the press materials or whatever you want to call it, the description of it has a polyurethane coating over it too, so it's not going to disintegrate. As Cork will once, because it soaks up all your finger juices and palm juices if you don't. So
yeah, well, and also I think this would also get very grody very quickly if it wasn't steel. But it is more environmentally friendly than a plastic or a rubber wrist rest, so it's fine. Now I've been using this. I used this for about 2.5, 3 weeks. And I think eventually I got pretty used to it. I got to the point where I could write a review on here if I needed to. Um, it wasn't me personally. I'm not a fan of a split keyboard like this, and it's mainly because of like some certain habits that I have while I'm typing. For example, I usually type the letter H with my left hand
Hmm.
because like on a normal keyboard, H is very close to the center.
Right.
So it's like when I'm typing, I will usually just hit H with my pointer finger, which obviously is not the proper technique. But there were a couple of other situations where I would normally do like a control thing, and on a normal keyboard I can reach, but with my Hobbit hands here, which I that's a trademark of Juan Bagnell. But anyway, my Hobbit hands here don't allow me to reach quite as far over with this type of keyboard. So, but I think what it does is it kind of forces me to be more deliberate about what I'm typing and how I'm typing it, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is what it is. Again, not my preferred way to do it, but
yeah, I think this just goes back to the fact that keyboards are, at least for you and for me, very personal things in terms of like your choices. I prefer mechanical keyboards, and after we reviewed the Red Dragon Horus 618, I think it was.
Sounds right.
I remember that. Yeah, and just so you could try, like a slim mechanical in terms, or the travel, where the travel was less. I thought, well, if you're not a fan of that, maybe you'll be a fan of. Because I just thought, okay, Logitech keyboard, it's got to have good key feel, right? And then especially with your preferred like scissor switch kind of thing going on. I liked the design of it. I thought it was really cool. So I just thought, well, let's give it a try. And something we should mention too is that this is kind of like how Logitech has their MX series. It's like a keyboard and a mouse it's like the professional series that all goes together. This also has a mouse that has Cork inlay on the side of it, where your thumb would go, and there's also a number pad, because as you can see on Skippy,
there is no number pad.
There is no number pad, which that's a really big keyboard to not have a number pad.
It kind of is. It really is. But actually, I mean, like the keys are a little bit more spread out, I think, than what you're normally going to find, which helps. But I mean, so when it comes to actually like typing something on here, you just have to be a lot more deliberate about what you have to train your brain to think more left right, rather than like just letting it flow. And so it's fine. Like I'm for people that want an ergonomic keyboard, this is a good design for it. It's just not me, and
Sure.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. One thing that I wanted to mention specifically is when you're typing on this, you could probably hear it, and as Cliff and I both said, we type with purpose, but this has a very hollow sound underneath it, and I think that comes from like the plasticky build to it. So,
well, you also have that cavity underneath it too, that's created by so it can actually echo.
Yeah, so there's room for the sound to like actually travel and echo, I think. So I think that's part of it. I would like to see Lenovo maybe try to eliminate that a little bit, because it makes the keyboard feel kind of cheap.
Does it flex under your deliberate typing?
It doesn't. So it doesn't flex. Well, it kind of looks like it flexes, because as I'm resting my wrists on here and typing, I mean, you can kind of see it's moving just a little bit up and down, like especially up in this corner here and in this corner here. So, and actually, I kind of wonder if maybe we add the boomerang back, maybe this will. So no, it still does it a little bit.
It just sounded better. Maybe not. No, you were just you were typing less hard at that time.
I was typing with less authority.
I thought we'd found a solution, but no.
No. Well, but even if you had, like, just I don't like how far it leans back the way it is like this. So I know I've had keyboards. I've had a split keyboard, and I think it's this one over here that does the feet thing, but it has like the little feet and then the big feet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like it would be nice maybe if this were a little bit more adjustable.
Sure.
So because maybe this isn't ideal, but this definitely isn't ideal. So maybe somewhere in between would have been nice. But and then over here, you've got your 6, home, insert, page up, whatever, and then you've got your 4 arrow keys here, which are nice. I think I eventually did get used to this, but I still kind of felt like the keys weren't ideally suited, like laid out the way I would like them. And one of the things about the split keyboard is you can see in the center here, like the N is twice as big as the M, the G is twice as big as the F.
Oh, interesting.
So like I'm not sure why they do that. I don't know if it's like a symmetry thing or if they just want like the keys to end in like the same, like in the same straight line. If you can see what I'm talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know if that's like.
It also could have something to do with accommodating different size hands, because different finger lengths. When you're getting towards that center part, you might actually have to reach if you were a female, for instance, that has, or a man with smaller hands.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
So, but yeah, some of it may, just like you said, be symmetry as well. I had not noticed that. So,
but I mean, like, just overall, it's like I said, I did get used to it. I'm not going to stick with it because I have a different keyboard that I'd rather just use. And it's actually kind of funny. The keyboard that I was using before this actually started to kind of go a little bit. So I'm just like, well, hell, I guess I'll switch to the Lenovo now. But since then, actually, I've gotten the MX keys in from Logitech, which may or may not get reviewed on this podcast. We'll see. Maybe we'll see how well this review goes, and then comment down below if you want to see a review of the MX keys keyboard that I have.
We'll just become exclusively a keyboard reviewing channel. That's
exactly
Adam's nightmare.
That will draw in the numbers. Absolutely. No, don't get me wrong. I know there are keyboard enthusiasts out there that would probably actually really, really enjoy a channel like that. But,
by the way, should I show my what I'm currently using?
Yeah, go for it. Just for funsies.
Just for a preview, because this will be coming later. That is you see the NES look here?
Yeah.
Let's see if I can. Yeah, so
there you go.
We won't tell you what it is for now. Some that are keyboard enthusiasts might know it also has a companion mouse in the same.
This is an adorable mouse. I love
that. Yeah. so that is most likely coming to this channel later on. But I mean, I'm definitely a keyboard enthusiast. I'm glad you got to try it out. Now, I guess my question would be, we don't really have an official rating system, but let's just say that it's on a scale
5. Of 1 to Fitbit.
1 to Fitbit, yeah. How would you rate it?
I have to put aside when it comes to assigning like a number or like something like that, I have to put aside the fact that it's not for me. Like I would just say in general, when you factor in the price point, which by the way we haven't mentioned the price, it's $69.99, so like it's a $70 keyboard, and then the mouse and the other the number pad, I don't have those pulled up here, but I want to say the mouse is like another 50 I want to say.
I think it was,
and then
50.
I think the number pad was 30 or something like that,
or 40, something like that. I mean, they're not inexpensive. I mean, this is not an expensive product, so.
But it's not terrible, though.
Not expensive. Considered. Especially when mechanical keyboards go into hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. So, factoring in the price, factoring in the comfort, factoring in the options, but also factoring in the kind of cheap feeling to it, I would say, but on a scale of 1 to Fitbit, where 1 is, terrible and Fitbit is the most amazing product in the world, I would say this rates about, I'm going to go ahead and say like a 3.5, 4, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Gotcha.
So, and that would be on a scale where Fitbit is 5, of course, because because the Fitbit is 5 times better than any other smartwatch.
So we'll say 3.5.
Yeah, we're gonna say 3.5. And by the way, all the Fitbit talk, this is 100% an inside joke. So we have one video viewer who's going to really appreciate this portion of the conversation. So anyway, but yeah, so it's like a solid 3.5. I think it's a good buy if you're looking to get a split keyboard. Personally, I would probably go with something with a built-in number pad myself. It kind of depends on how often you use a number pad, of course, but yeah, it's very solid. Lenovo makes good keyboards. Lenovo has always made good keyboards, so this is definitely along that line. I would just like it to feel a little less cheap.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give it the half a point just because it comes with a boomerang.
Right.
I mean, how many keyboards? Other keyboards?
How many keyboards
come
with their own boomerang?
Exactly.
It just doesn't happen anymore, and I think that's a tragedy in this industry. So.
Exactly.
And if you're
Logitech, take note, more boomerangs.
Right. If you're ever sitting in your office and someone tries to break in and tries to attack you, then you could just and that'll be great. So, but anyway, yeah. So I think that's going to just about do it for this review. I mean, we try to end our videos on the stupidest note possible, and so I think that's a pretty mission accomplished right there. So
absolutely.
That's going to do it for this review. Please consider subscribing to this channel if you enjoyed it. And if you really enjoyed it and you want some early access, jump onto Patreon, patreon.com/benefitofthedowd. Or maybe by the time you see this, there will be a join button that you can click on to get some early access. And we're still kind of working out what the memberships are going to entail. So, but for now, my name is Adam Dowd, and this is co-host Cliff, and I'd like to thank all of you for watching, and most of all for giving us the benefit of the Dowd.